So we've done a couple complicated ones. Let's do one that's just a little bit easier. So it could be as complex as you want, but in terms of what you need to know about how it relates to Swaptify, pretty straightforward. So this is going to be events. We're going to look at how we track events, conversions, whatever you want to call them. So we've got our events section in Swaptify. You can create events here, or you can create events in the Swaptify app. So let's say we want to make, we've got a few different types. This doesn't have any functionality associated with them per se. They're just categories of events. In terms of setting them up, you can set them up on page view or via Swaptify's JavaScript API. Let's create a page view event. So we'll call this one thank you page, which is a pretty standard approach to doing a page view conversion. And then let's also do a form submission, and we'll say lead form. Since we're doing a pet store demo, we could also look at how we would do transactional events, but I don't have all of the e-commerce functionality set up on here, so we'll save that for a future video. Right now, we just want to look at the basics. So let's start with the page view. Let's decide that which page do we want to make our thank you page. Let's do trusted food for your pets from our demo content. And let's just actually change this to be the thank you page. So now this is our thank you page. You'll see that since we set up a page view event, that is the only one that is tied into WordPress functionality. The other ones are just categories. So this one, because we created a page view event, we can set it up with a trigger right from this option that is on the page settings. So if I mark this as a page view event on the back end, when I or any visitor visit this page, it will fire that event. And then it will get associated with any of the swaps that led up to that event. So this is where Swaptify is substantially different from Google Analytics 4. We define a session as all the activity that leads up to a conversion. Or timing out after a half an hour, which is the same as Google Analytics. But if a conversion happens, we reset the session. And that is so we can look backwards from that conversion and attribute all of the swaps that they saw within all the segments that have potential swaps towards that conversion, so we can start learning about what content is the most influential. So let's visit this page. There we are. Over on our Swaptify side, we should see this event now. We have the two of them and events triggered. So real time, we got one event in there. That's the one that just happened. Now I went straight there. I don't think I'm gonna have any swaps associated with it because I didn't do any activity prior, although I'm probably already a visitor type, so it might have considered me might have considered one of those swaps. We're going to go over this particular report in full detail in the next video. There's a lot to unpack here. For now, we just want to look at setting up events. So we got our page view event triggered, so we're good there. The next version we want to look at is how to use the JavaScript API. So when we were setting up our events over here, in Swaptify events, similar to how we have the stuff on the visitor types where we have, classes that we can use and code snippets that we can use, events has the same thing. So with a lead form, we can put a class on a form that will attempt to automatically detect when that form is interacted with. But the best way to use form tracking is with this Java snippet of JavaScript. The reason is all this is going to track is when the form is submitted, but it's not going to know whether the form was successful because that is dependent on the logic of the form. Whatever form plugin or tool you're using is going to have different methods to determine when the form is submitted. So they're all going to behave a little bit differently. So the best this can do is detect when a form is submitted, not whether it was successfully submitted. So with this piece of JavaScript, we can actually fire it when our form plugin tells us that it was successfully submitted. For this example, let's look at contact form 7, which is probably the most popular contact form plugin on WordPress. So I'm going to add that plugin to our demo site. We're just going to do a very, very simple form. We'll just use the standard one. I'm also going to add a plugin here that I like called Google Tag Manager for WordPress. If you prefer the Google version, I've never really used that one, but I'm sure it would be fine as long as it has a tag manager integration. You could also do a manual tag manager integration. There are probably 100,000 different ways you could go about this. I'm just going to show you my favorite way. So by the time you've gotten to the point where you're considering adding Swaptify to your site, you probably already have this sort of thing going on. But if not, I'll just quickly walk you through all of this. So let's create in Tag Manager. We'll say beta test site. Oops, I don't want an account. I just want a container. We'll just use this here. Website, create. So this would be what you would use if you were integrating it manually. I'm going to take this and go plop it in here. Call this good. Make sure to turn it on. You can go through all this stuff. The only thing I'm going to turn on is the contact form 7 integration. This makes it so that we don't have to write our own little JavaScript listener and tag manager to listen for successful form submissions. That's also pretty straightforward. I'll do that at some time too, just to show you like a bunch of different ways that you could do form tracking. I've done a lot of those over the years. It's kind of fun trying to figure out your own script for detecting successful forms. But for now, let's just use this stock approach. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's just preview. I'll show you. Oh, first we got to put the form on a page. Let's try the contact page. And we'll just delete all this content and we'll put the form plugin on here instead. Okay. Let's do this. it opened it in a new window. So let's navigate to the contact page. I guess I'll just switch between windows. Test. All right, so that sent in our Tag Manager window, we should see a couple new events. Here's one right here. So we've got contact form submitted, contact form mail sent. This is the success one. So let's go back into Tag Manager. That we will create as a trigger. Custom event. Here we go. Contact form. Let's just CF7 mail sent. Custom. And now the advantage of this approach is with this one trigger that's recognizing when a form gets submitted, we can send that event to Swaptify. We could also send it to Google Analytics at the same time. So you would do a tag for both. I don't have Google Analytics set up for this demo page because we're not going to actually ever launch this site. It's just for demo. So let's just send it to Swaptify. Swaptify and say CF7 submit. And we're going to do custom HTML. Here's where you go into your event settings and you grab the script. So this is, whoops, that's the thank you page. So we want the one for the lead form. So we're going to copy that and paste it into this section and trigger it by this custom action. Let's preview. Okay. Now we're going to go to the contact page, submit one more. Done. And then we'll go look at what we have going on here. So we have this tag that fired, said Swaptify CF7 submit. Let's go check our events in Swaptify. When I refresh the page, I'm hoping that this will now show 1. Bam. So that's it. So there's basically these two approaches. You can use page view and you can mark them on the page, or you can fire them dynamically from the API. There's a similar script that you can use. This honestly would be my preferred approach, even if you use page view conversions. I would still probably build a tag manager approach. The problem with page view conversion, and this is not just a Swaptify issue, this is just anything where you're using a page view as a conversion. The issue is, let's say that I have my thank you page. So I hit my thank you page. Oops, whatever this one. So I hit this. This is my conversion page, and then I walk away from my computer, and my computer shuts itself down. When it fires itself back up, when I come back to this page and it becomes active again, this page could fire a new conversion, especially if I had closed Chrome and then reopened it. All these pages are going to have to reload again, and this page is going to fire another conversion when it really isn't another conversion. It's just one. With Tag Manager, you can, this takes a little bit of work, but for a page view conversion, you can use a cookie system. You would have to code it by hand, but you would use a cookie system to say, basically to define the path, to only count a page view conversion if they came from a preceding page, with your form on it, or your checkout process, whatever the case may be, so that it only fires one time. And then once you hit the thank you page, the cookie gets deleted and then can't fire again unless you pass through that path again. This is like advanced mode. Probably not necessary, that level of fussiness for most use cases, but if you do need help with your event tracking setup and making sure that everything is tied in correctly into your tag manager, and your Google Analytics is using the same triggers, and checking on the veracity of your data, that's why we have the agency partnership. So fill out the agency request form, and we'll match you up with an agency, hopefully in your area, but definitely in your specialization, that would be well matched for some help with any of these kinds of things that you might need help with. And with that said, this video is over. So this one's pretty easy, right? Page view conversion, JavaScript API. Those are your two methods.